dance.
Hello there, TV viewers, and welcome to Pop Profiles, the show that dives headfirst into the lives of today's biggest music stars. Now sit back and get ready for an onslaught, as today we'll be covering the life of Kesha.
She doesn't take things too seriously. She doesn't take the record label too seriously.
She's out to surprise and she's out to shock, and I think that plays into her whole entire image.
Kind of person I suppose my mum would go, she needs to have a bath. That kind of style. No bath style.
I mean, Kesha's doing her thing. She's making money. She's doing it. People like her.
So where does this little ball of glitter hail from?
Nashville, Tennessee?
Ah, yes, Nashville, Tennessee. It may be known as the home of country and western, but little Kesha Rose Siebert had her eyes firmly locked on the popular mainstream. Along with her mother, she even appeared on the reality show, The Simple Life.
They actually stayed at Kesha's house in Tennessee. And you can go back on YouTube and you can watch this and watch that she's sort of like the disenchanted teenager, who, like in the corner, like why is, you know, what's going on with my family right now, and why is Paris Hilton living in my house? And I just don't think anyone would have thought that in a couple years' time that then suddenly she'd be, you know, Kesha.
Kesha got herself signed to music producer Dr. Luke's record label at just 18. And in her quest for pop stardom, she had a companion in none other than Katy Perry, even appearing, oh so briefly, in Katy's I Kissed a Girl video. There she is, I think. But Kesha soon found herself actually singing on a hit record when she recorded the chorus for Flo Rida's #1 hit, Right Round. Were you aware of that?
I wasn't before the press release told me about it, but you know, yeah, that was the voice.
The Flo Rida song was extremely catchy, but I don't think anybody really knew about Kesha at that point, and sort of didn't put it together until she kind of had hit success with TikTok. But I think it was a really, really smart move by her, because I think when any artist kind of collaborates with a hip hop artist, you get your kind of cool factor and your street cred right away.
It was this song, and the fact that despite singing on a #1 record, she didn't make any money off of it, that convinced Kesha to put that $sign in her name.
I think Kesha's very smart. I think she's in on it, but it also reeks of the record company saying, we need a Lady Gaga, get us our own, because she came out right after that. I mean, and it was incredibly simple. Dr. Luke, of course, is to be responsible for a lot of the music, but the same could be said for Gaga. Had she not hooked up with Red One, would there be a Gaga? Probably not the same way we know her now. It's not entirely original, but it just sounds good sometimes.
Don't stop, make it pop.
But in order to start making some dollars of her own, and not just have them tattooed on her hand, Kesha needed a smash hit. And oh boy, did she get it with TikTok.
I think that if you weren't even slightly won over by TikTok, then you're lying, just because it has an infectious quality to it, and it's very, very, you know, catchy.
Got plenty of beer, ain't got no money in my pocket, but I'm already here.
TikTok, I've got to say, before I'd seen the video and I'd just heard the song, I thought, gosh, if I was 18 on a naughty night out with the girls, I would love dancing to that song. And her vocals are brilliant. I don't rate all of the electronic synthetics that they've overplayed. She actually has a really, really good voice. And she's got very, very good range. And that song does showcase all of that.
What's interesting about Kesha is she sort of invented this sort of sing. It's not really rapping, it's not really singing. It's not to mask that she can't sing. This is her vibe.
There's a lot of this very talky thing going on, but it's very similar to electro from many years, quite a few years ago. What we knew as electro when electro first started up is what Kesha is doing now, and it just took a few years to catch on.
Along with her curious choice of mouthwash, Kesha was also grabbing attention with her unusual style, especially her eye makeup, inspired by Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange.
He also did a movie that's, I think, my favorite movie of all time, Shining. I was a fan because he was the same director, so I just like watched the movie, and then I just thought it was like a really interesting, weird movie. I don't know, connected to it, but I really liked the makeup, and I also like having fun with everything, from jewels to glitter to makeup to clothes to my live show to everything I do. I want to have fun with it, so I just kind of play with my face and makeup.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm a fan of Kesha's style, but I am a fan of her confidence, because I think that she does what she wants, she wears what she wants, she doesn't give a about anybody else, and you know, that has to speak for something. I think at some point there was a plan, but maybe it was like, I'm not gonna wear any trousers for like the next 2 years, and I'm just gonna wear a leotard all the time. But I don't know. I do think she just kind of does what she wants.
Kesha is a work in progress, I think. She's young. She still, you know, exhibits a lot of teenage angst, even though she's in her low 20s or mid-20s maybe at this point. She's, again, one of the ladies that doesn't like to wear pants. You'll always see her in stockings or short shorts or things of that nature, but she's a true rock and roller. She's got that rock and roll aesthetic. Lots of leather, torn stockings, you know, spiky cuffs, bold makeup, things of that nature. So she's sticking along the lines of, you know, the cliche rock and roller.
TikTok was the song that put Kesha on the map, but it certainly wasn't the only song that she'd written.
Well, I wrote some for some other people as well. I wrote one for Miley Cyrus and the Veronicas and Miranda Cosgrove, so just, you know, down to share the love. But I wrote so many songs for my record as well. I'm not saying they were all very good. I'm just saying I wrote them. But it was also just kind of like mastering the craft of songwriting. I think it's definitely an art form to really write stuff that is relatable and catchy and honest and still kind of weird. But I mean, I want it to be interesting. I don't want it to be the same generic.
She doesn't want to be generic, and she meant it. Especially with the song, Blah, Blah, Blah.
Care where you live at. Just turn around, boy, let me hit that. Don't be a little bitch with your chit-chat. Just show me where you...
Blah, blah, blah is still actually saying more than blah, blah, blah. It's kind of saying what other pop songs just sort of allude to. She's, you know, basically talking about her night out, everything she consumed, what she did with the guy. It's like a play-by-play, and she's shameless and fearless about it. And you know, you gotta respect somebody that doesn't dance around the issue.
There are a lot of cynics out there who believe that Kesha is a manufactured party animal. It's effectively rock and roll 101, you know, Jack Daniels as mouthwash and all that kind of stuff. You can see why the record company would go, right, we need to find all the kids in the playground who think Selena Gomez is the Antichrist. And they're young, but they want someone to feel like they can hang out with and party, like the female frat boy. And Kesha ticks those boxes.
Her style is attractive to a lot of young fans because it seems very attainable. You don't get the feeling there's like 20 people putting her look together. You get the feeling that she's doing it, that like even without this kind of success, she'd be like in her bedroom, like figuring this out. I think her fans really respond to that because they can sort of be their own Kesha on a Saturday night.
No, it's not a very serious song. The video is interesting. There's a good interplay between her collaborators in that video. There's quite a lot of energy, and do you know what? She definitely has the ghetto attitude going on. But I wouldn't say it's a piece of work that she'll look back on in 15 years' time and go, gosh, I really contributed to the music industry.
Maybe not. But Kesha's debut album, Animal, did rise to the very top of the charts, thanks in part to the success of songs such as Your Love Is My Drug.
Just need some sleep. I got a sick obsession. I'm seeing it in my dreams. I'm looking down every alley.
Everyone seems to be enjoying the record, Animal. I'm really proud of it. I spent many years making it and writing songs for it. I wrote every song on it. And I'm excited because I would like sit at home and play around in my GarageBand and like write stupid songs like 4 in the morning about just stupid stuff I do. And then all of a sudden, people are singing along and know the words and come to my shows. So it's nice.
But the question has to be asked, is the Kesha that we see all completely an act?
A lot of it's put on. I mean, I've had lunch with her and spoken to her. She's very well educated. She went to an international baccalaureate school. She's much smarter than you would think. A lot of it is sort of put on, but it works.
I don't think that Kesha's the girl next door. I think that there's definitely some sort of truth to her image. When I met Kesha, I met her at probably 11 o'clock in the morning, and she was wearing something that was very Captain America meets Wonder Woman, red, white, and blue meets 70s Elvis, and she apparently designed it, and she had crystals all over her face, and you know, the perfect kind of ensemble for a Tuesday morning. She's not, you know, the girl that you necessarily are gonna bring home to your mom, but you know, she's also, on the flip side, she's a businesswoman, you know, so, and she writes a lot of her own music, so there's something there other than just, you know, drinking whiskey and waking up, you know, in the bathtub or something, you know. There is some sort of depth there, and I think that she knows where the line is.
Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Kesha fully embraces the medium of glitter.
Your drug.
Welcome back to Pop Profiles, where today's show is all about the chaotic world of Kesha. So having had 303 appear on her track, Blah Blah Blah, Kesha obviously felt obliged to return the favor as she guested on their song, My First Kiss.
My First Kiss was probably a good move for Kesha to do something a little more teen-friendly and a little lighter and whatnot. It's not necessarily my bag, but I think, you know, it was a smart move.
Their performances are very lavish and, you know, right in your face, loads of confidence. So yeah, they're completely right for each other. They're on the right footing in the music industry.
But that wasn't the end of Kesha's guest verses. She soon appeared with Taio Cruz on Dirty Picture, along with a few collaborations that people don't know about.
I have so many collaborations that people don't know about, actually. I collaborated with a guy named Mickey Avalon, who I went on tour with, on a song called Sticky Mickey. I collaborated with this guy, Dirt Nasty, who's actually in my music video. He's the guy that's driving the car in the music video, on a song called Miami Nights. It's pretty cool. I collaborated with 2 songs, 303, and I did a song with Taio Cruz called Dirty Picture. It's really hot.
Take a dirty picture for me, take a dirty picture. Take a dirty picture for me, take a dirty picture.
Now, like me, I'm guessing you don't know Sticky Mickey or Dirt Nasty, but you've probably heard of Taio Cruz. And fortunately, so had Kesha's producer, Dr. Luke.
I was actually living at Dr. Luke's house, and Taio, I guess, called him about me getting on Dirty Picture. And I just heard the track once, and I knew it was hot, so I said, hell yeah, we should totally get on it. It was definitely like a take on the electro sound that was starting to happen in America, but a much cooler version. Taio and I never met. We talked on the phone once, and I think I woke him up, and he sounded super hot.
I hadn't worked with her in the studio, so the first time I got to work with her was on the video shoot, and she's lovely, you know. She's great. We're really good friends now. She's loads and loads of fun.
She's had no shortage of collaborators, but Kesha has also had her fair share of critics. But this is one girl you clearly shouldn't cross, as she likes her pranks.
Well, prank phone calling kind of goes in the same category as stalking, because sometimes you can find out where they are when you prank phone call, but also just house stalking, apartment stalking. If someone is really mean to me, one of my favorite things to do is to find like a big box and fill it with poo, like animal poo, and then wrap it in a really beautiful, like a beautiful present. And then I take it to the house of the, whoever.
So there you have it. Don't mess. And just in case you weren't listening, Kesha wants you to take it off.
Take it off, everybody take it off.
The party in the bottom of an empty swimming pool with loads of powder in the video. I mean, that looks like quite a fun place to be, that said. I mean, if I was back in my 16-year-old self with my hot pants on, yeah, I'd be dancing with her.
Kesha loves glitter, and she loves, I feel like, dirt. It's an amazing juxtaposition that she understands that if you're gonna sort of like be this kind of dirty girl, that maybe you add a little glitter to it. And, like, you add a little glitter to your gutter, and
The Animal album had been so successful that Kesha decided to release an extended play called Cannibal. It featured the new single, We Are Who We Are, which would become Kesha's second #1 hit.
And dangerous. If you're one of us, then roll with us, 'cause we make the hipsters fall in love when we...
Well, I never stopped writing. I still write. Like, I was writing a song like 2 days ago. Yeah, and I get ideas every day and like text them to myself. So I continue writing. I think it's important. It's kind of like therapy. You just talk about whatever stupid crap you want to talk about.
For the music industry, this is a definite hit maker. It's going to sell loads of records and it's going to fill dance floors instantly.
Dance.
For the final single off the Cannibal album, Kesha brought in James Van Der Beek, aka Dawson, for the video. And things got a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very, very strange video. The unicorns and fighting James Van Der Beek and back and forth, but they were obviously having fun with it.
When Dawson suddenly turns up, I'm like, what are you doing here? Where's Katie Holmes?
I wasn't surprised to see James Van Der Beek in her video Blow, just because I feel like anybody that grew up watching Dawson's Creek, which was, Kesha was probably like a tween at that point. I mean, Dawson's Creek was the teen show, like pre-Gossip Girl, and she probably was just kind of reliving some sort of tween fantasy of getting to kiss James Van Der Beek.
Or perhaps to see James Van Der Beek pull out a bra.
The hilarity of it is a lot of her fans are watching this and don't even know who this guy is, and they're probably like, who's this old guy? Like, what's he doing in this video?
They must have met and enjoy each other and enjoy poking fun at each other's reputations. So he ended up James Van Der Dead at the end.
I think you definitely see that in the video that Kesha doesn't take herself too seriously and she has a funny sense of humor, and that I think people's biggest misconception of Kesha is that she does take herself too seriously, that they think that there's nothing kind of cheeky behind her, that it's very like, I'm a tough girl and I'm rock and roll, and I think when you watch that video and you just see how ridiculous it is, and the record label seems to kind of let her do what she wants. You go to her concert and she's screaming and cursing and she's created this whole vibe, and it's not squeaky clean Disney, and that to me feels more organic.
After all the Jack Daniels and colored powders so far, what can we expect from Kesha's next album?
It's definitely always going to be honest. It's always going to be genuine. I feel like this record especially is like so honest, sometimes to a fault. Like, there is a guy named Steven who I stalked, and Jeannie really did steal my car. And that seems to just be like what people are responding to. So I will say that I don't know specifically what the next record will sound like, but I promise it'll be honest.
She does have music in her blood. I think we're gonna hear more from her in the future. She said she wants to make a rock record next. I think we're gonna hear a different side of her.
I think that, if anybody's gonna do sort of a female stadium rock album right now, I think that Kesha is a good choice, and actually someone that can actually pull it off. I think that it's been, years and years and years since we've had sort of a really hardcore female rocker like Joan Jett or Lita Ford come onto the scene. And I think maybe this sort of poppy, singy Kesha might lead into more of a rock and roll kind of stadium rock that I think it'd be really interesting for her to do.
Truce?
Nah.